My name is Jordan. I am your biggest cheerleader, and welcome to Your Biggest Cheerleader Podcast, hosted by me, Jordan. So here's the deal, couple disclaimers. I am not perfect. I don't claim to be perfect, and I don't expect you to be perfect. And what I mean by that in this very moment is that this is my remarkable, these are all my notes, and I'm going to look down at my notes during this podcast because this is just how it's going to go. So thank you for being here. This has been a long time coming, and I'm so excited, and I cannot wait to tell you a little bit more about me, why I'm here, what this podcast is about, so on and so forth. So without further ado, let's get started. So first things first, who am I? My name is Jordain Smith. I am 32 years old, born and raised in Omaha, Nebraska, currently living just outside of Omaha with my husband of almost 7 years and our 3 cats, Jameson, Parker, and Boo. I'm sure that they will be in and out of these things at some point in life. As you can tell, I'm very much a cat lover. I have worked in the healthcare staffing industry for the last decade, and I recently left the corporate world as of February 7th, 2024. So let's kind of get into that and kind of understand Jordan's journey and why she's here and how. So I have been laid off twice in the last 6 months, unfortunately, but also fortunately. I'm somebody who has grown to be the person that when something bad happens, I turn it into a positive. So the second time I got laid off in the last 6 months, it took me a few minutes. Like, let's be real. I didn't just say, okay, cool, I'm fired. I'm going to go do this. That didn't happen. But I did take a couple hours to reflect, cried a little bit, tried to understand how this could possibly be happening to me again. And instead of riding that wave of how could this be happening to me? How could this be happening to me? How could this be happening to me? I decided to, like I said, turn it into a positive. And I decided to launch my photography and marketing business the same day. So I got off the couch, I wiped my tears, went into my office and started building. And here we are. One story I want to share that kind of helped push me into this direction goes back a couple years ago. I have shared this on my social media before, but this is a different space, so we're going to go over it again. Back in late summer of 2022, I had an uncle who was diagnosed with ALS. If you know anything about ALS, I'm so sorry. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy, and it is extremely difficult to watch your loved one go through that. But yeah, so he was diagnosed, and fast forward a year from that time, I had gotten laid off from my staffing agency job, where I was associate director of recruiting over there, and then found myself a new job at a company who I was doing a lot of more creative things with. So I was really excited about it. And it was still in the healthcare staffing industry, but just a completely different realm. So I was so ready. My uncle had moved to go live with some family out of state from where he was, and they were taking care of him full time because he needed it. And the plan was to go and visit him down in Texas for Thanksgiving. And because I was still within my 90 days, and I had a lot of work to do, and a lot of the projects I was working on were just, they were on me. Like, I didn't have a team of people that could just step in. Like, I was responsible. So due to that, I wasn't able to go visit him for Thanksgiving. So that was tough to deal with. It was tough for me. It was tough for me to tell my family members who have been taking care of him 24/7 that I wouldn't be able to come and see him. And it's frustrating, right? That's a hard thing to do. But at the end of the day, I needed a job. I needed to get paid. So the answer was, okay, yeah, sure. Okay, I won't go. Fast forward to January 14th of 2024. So just a couple months after Thanksgiving had come and gone, my uncle passed away. And he passed away, and it hit me like a ton of bricks that I didn't get to go and visit him prior to his passing. it was tough. It was tough. And so throughout funeral planning, we were able to push it off because we went the cremation route, and he was from the Phoenix area. So we were planning around his community where he lived, the last 30 plus years of his life. That's where we needed his funeral to be. That's where all his people are. And we would just go all fly there to be there with his people. So we had a whole plan. I was communicating with I communicated with my boss about it. It sounded like everything was okay. I had a whole plan of coverage, how I was going to handle it, all those things. And then a week before the funeral was set, or the week before I was supposed to leave for the funeral, I'm in a meeting, which I didn't think anything of because I'm the one who called the meeting. So I'm in this meeting with my two bosses, and before I can even get a word out, the higher up, so my boss's boss, says, "Hey, Jordan, this isn't going to be the meeting that you thought it was going to be. We just got off the phone with the CEO, and he is eliminating your position effective immediately." So I'm like, wow. And going back to that day where I said I took a couple hours to myself, this is what was going through my head. I have been literally killing myself to try to get these projects done on time, projects that I wasn't fully prepared to do on my own and wasn't really getting the help that I needed. And I was one of the only ones who worked through the holidays apart from Thanksgiving. There was the last 2 weeks of the year where most people took off. I didn't even ask. I don't usually take off for the holidays anyway. So at the time, it didn't seem like a huge deal. But I think the fact that not only did I have a plan in place, I covered all my bases, I did all these things, and I still got laid off. And again, it still bothers me. I don't know if you can tell. It still bothers me. However, I'm still grateful that this happened because it pushed me into a new direction. And I cannot even tell you how happy I have been this last month and a half or so since it happened. I've had so many amazing opportunities, and I'm living life on my terms. And so many of my friends and family have said, "Oh my gosh, you're glowing. Like you can tell you're so much happier. How are you doing this? Like, what is happening?" And I think it's just a lot of turning negatives into positives. And this kind of brings me into what is this podcast? What are we going to talk about? We can't possibly talk about Jordan the whole time, right? And that's not the intention. What I want to do is I want to help people, and I want to help them on my terms. And I've wanted that for a long time. I just didn't know what that meant. And it took a lot of soul searching. And I know you hear this all the time, and people, you ask people, how did you do it? How did you do that? They say soul searching, and I took time for me, or whatever. But it's so true. And it's not the same for everybody. So there is no guidebook. I can't sit here and say, "Hey, here's a list of things you need to do very specifically, and you'll get to where I am," because everybody's journey is different and everybody wants something different. And I've learned that a lot recently. I've had some friends who, like I said, have like, "Oh my gosh, like I'm inspired by you. How do I do this?" And I'm very much a problem solver. That is my life's just mission. Is if there's a problem, okay, Jordan, emotion's gone. How do I help? What can I do? What do you need? What do you need? What do you need? And in this case, I can't always fix that. I can't always be the person that can tell you exactly what to do. I can give you ideas. My friend Allie, hopefully she's okay with me mentioning her name. We went to the zoo a couple weeks ago, and I was trying to help her because I wanted her to be as happy as I am. I wanted her to feel the way I'm feeling, where you don't have a micromanager. Not saying she does, but that was how I was feeling. You don't have someone just looming over you, and you have all these things happening, and it's just like, how am I ever gonna set that aside and then find my happiness in the world? So I had those conversations with her, and we talked and I gave her ideas, but I could tell after a little while, I was like, hold on, Jordan, you don't have to solve her problem. All you can do is be there for her and be her biggest cheerleader. And that's all that matters. So like I said, I'm not perfect. I still have a lot to learn, but what I do know is that I have a purpose in this world, and I feel like this is it. So what is this podcast? I want this podcast to create a community of just overly positive people who are there to help each other and root for each other and make each other feel like they can do anything, because you can do anything. Literally, if you get into that mindset of, oh gosh, I want to be a photographer, but I can't afford a camera, I can't do this, I can't do that. Yes, you can. The moment you realize that you can get yourself into a mindset of, yes, I can, all the time, your life will be changed forever. So throughout this podcast, I will share my tips and tricks and things of that nature to try to help you get there. But at the end of the day, if my podcast makes you smile or helps you get through your day or your week, your month, your year, that's all I want. I want you to feel like you are on top of the world and that you can do anything. The other thing that I want to do while I'm on here, I will bring on guests from time to time. Maybe not every episode. It just kind of depends on the kinds of things that I want to share and, topics that I'm going over. But I also want to celebrate others. So my goal is to have a couple stories each episode, talk about other people's journeys with their permission, of course. If I can't get them on here, if they're okay with me just mentioning it, it'll be an ebb and flow and a trial and error, so to speak. So we'll do that. And I'm going to start right now. I haven't asked this person's permission, but I know she'll be okay with it. And I'll obviously get it before this is posted. But her name is Jamie Haith. And I have known Jamie for a decade now. We work together in this healthcare staffing industry. And back in November of 2023, Jamie sent me a message and she said, hey, haven't seen you in a while, would love to catch up. Would you like to do dinner with me? I'd like to run something by you. And one thing I haven't mentioned is that I'm kind of on my spiritual journey as well, right? And so is she. So when she mentioned she wanted to meet with me, of course, I'm like, oh my gosh, what could this mean? I had pulled cards that had told me that I was going to have an unlikely partnership in some way, but I couldn't think of who that would be until I got that message. It had been a few months since I'd gotten those cards, but I've had other supporting cards that I pulled towards that. And so I was like, oh my gosh, maybe this is it. Like, I just had a feeling. And then we get there, we're at dinner. And then she tells me that she is going to follow her dream in being a public speaker and sharing her message of overcoming adversity and how to be your true authentic self. At least that's one of her messages. And I couldn't have been any more ecstatic. And why this is so significant to me and why this is such a big deal is because when you have someone who is constantly your biggest cheerleader and pushes you to do things and go outside your comfort zone and get it done, again, your life will change. So not only do you have to get in that mindset on your own and be able to maintain that, you have to surround yourself with people who want the best for you and tell you, yes, go follow your dreams, go do it. And anyway, back to Jamie. So she needed a marketing partner. I've been doing marketing for 5 years now. And I was like, yes, I'm in, let's do it, totally. And we've had a lot of fun, interesting events and things that we've done. We were in San Diego in February, right after I launched, because she had a speaking event she was asked to come to. She is currently, this is so exciting. She is currently on her US tour. Her first event is this Saturday, March 23rd in Omaha, Nebraska. If you're seeing this and you happen to be in the Omaha area, you don't want to miss it. Her message is amazing and it will kick your butt into gear, I promise you. So this is a big deal. She's making it happen because she sat down one day and said, hey, if I'm going to do this, I have to get into the mindset and I have to go out there, push past my boundaries, push past my insecurities and make myself uncomfortable, right? No one gets anywhere when you're comfortable. So anyway, shout out to Jamie. If I didn't have her, I don't know if I would have made it to this point. and I'm just really excited to be here. So again, my name's Jordan. I'm your biggest cheerleader, and I can't wait to put out episode number 2. Please like, subscribe, all the things. I really appreciate you being here, and we'll see you soon.